tell me something about yourself?
Well, my name is Tom Fields. I'm originally from Ireland, Dublin actually, and the Liberties in Dublin. That's where I was brought up till I was maybe about 18 years of age when we moved out of the inner city. We were moving families from the inner city to the outskirts of Dublin. So we moved down in 1978. I was 18 at the time, and it was like going in. I was going into the unknown, didn't know where it was the country to me, being from the inner city. So we moved out, the whole family, we moved out to Tallaght. So that's where the love of traditional music I got from, out in that area. Because not too far from Tallaght, past Sagart, there was a place called The Embankment, was where all the traditional musicians went from all over Ireland. They came to this embankment. And I would have seen the Fury Brothers and Davy Arthur. I would have seen the Wolf Tones and part of the Dubliners maybe at the time, Paddy Riley and stuff like that, Christy Moore. We would have went to see people like them on the embankment. That's where I got the love of the music, of the traditional end of it. Growing up, it was glam rock and punk rock and Tin Lizzy. It wasn't really till I got outside the inner city into the, we called it the country at the time. It was the worst because there was nothing around, and that's where I got the love of the traditional music from.
You took my next question, which is from your childhood. Which is your favorite memory?
As a child growing up in the Liberties, actually we were just a little slightly on the border of the Liberties. A real Liberty person say, you weren't from the Liberties. I was from a place called St. Teresa's Gardens in Dunor Avenue. It was a flat complex. But a lot of family lived around there, a lot of relations that lived in this. And what a place to grow up. It was absolutely brilliant. Now, if you weren't from there and you went looking for a job and you gave your address for Teresa's Gardens, it had a name to being a rough area growing up. But trust me, it was a great area to grow up. And I loved every bit of it. And at the time when we moved out of Teresa's Gardens, I had a lot of friends, and I was kind of, why are we going out here? Why are we going into the... But I realised, after about a couple of years, or maybe years later, that there was a reason why we moved out of the inner city. Because unfortunately, the epidemic of heroin, smack, came into my area, in Teresa's Gardens, and a lot of my friends, a lot of people I grew up with, and a lot of lovely families were really affected by this. So I'd like to think, years later, my mother, Lord rest her, she passed away 5 years ago, I'd like to think that she could foresee what was happening in and out around the area. And I think that's why she got us out of there. But prior to that, it was a great place to grow up. Great place, I loved it.
What were you like in high school?
Oh, school. I was clever. I was very, very clever. I would have went to the Christian Brothers, which was hard to get into. I didn't want to go to the Christian Brothers. I wanted to go where my mates were all going. The Christian Brothers, you had to pass an exam. And none of my mates passed the exam. They went to another school. Black Pits they call it, and that's where I wanted to go. But I tried to fake the exam, I tried to falsify it. But unfortunately, I passed the exam and I got into the Christian Brothers, and they were tough times. But after that, then we went to secondary school, and I went with me mate. We went down to, it was the Liberties Post-Primary, or Liberties something school it was called, but we just called it Bull Alley. I went to Bull Alley. Tech, and I didn't do any exams. It was the group cert at the time, and I think the first exam we had was woodwork or something like that, and I think a fight broke out. I can't remember, right? A fight broke out in the woodwork class between different people from different areas, different flat complex. So I didn't get through the woodwork. We were suspended, and being honest, I never done any school. After that, I left school, various little jobs here and there. But I didn't do any exams. In my life. until I was about 40. I went back to school. I went back to evening classes up in Crumlin. Basically, just brushing up on reading and writing and stuff like that. There's not many people know this, you know. Not many of my family do anyway. But I just took it on myself, and my wife Jacqueline encouraged me. So that's what I did. And then I done a computer class. Eventually, I ended up in UCD doing a degree in health and safety. I was 40 years of age, and it was hard. It was hard getting through this. Bear in mind, I had left school, no exams, but I got through. I'm not saying I was the best in the class, but I got the cert to prove it, and that's what stands for me now. That's why I'm in the job I'm in now. I work for Mercury Engineering. It's Mercury now. It was Mercury Engineering when I joined, and I'm a health and safety. I'm a lead with one of the business union. I'll be one of the leads. So I've done really well with Mercury. Again, when the music and Mercury comes together, I was working abroad. Started off in Holland and London with Mercury, and we ended up in Frankfurt in Germany. And we're not good. We're like a little family over there. We all looked after each other. At one stage we didn't come home. We came home once every 4 weeks. So we'd all be together on weekends. You know, some of the lads were playing football. Some of the lads got into the GAA, the local GAA in Frankfurt. But I happened to be, I think it was Sunday evening. I went out for a beer and I met a couple of lads there. And Liam Cohn, Liam's a very good friend of mine now. Liam played the banjo. So we were sitting around the pub one day, and Liam whips out the banjo and he starts playing a few tunes, Irish tunes, which was great. And the first tune that I recognised was a song called Peggy Gordon. And Liam started playing Peggy Gordon, and I just kept saying, "Oh, Peggy Gordon." And Liam stopped in his track and he looked, he said, "Keep going." So we kept going. I sang a few songs, Liam played a few tunes. So from there on, we go out on a Wednesday night, and the word got around, just the lads are playing a bit of Irish music up in the IPB, the Irish pub in Bauheim Mitte in Frankfurt, just outside Frankfurt. So, and then the word got around, we got another guy, Adrian McHugh, played the whistle and the fiddle. So Adrian was part of Mercury as well. So Adrian had came along, and then there was this other guy named Larkin Fox. Larkin would have been originally from Mullingar, Joe Dolan's territory. So Larkin was teaching over there, so he got the word got out. There was a few Irish lads playing a few tunes. So Larkin came along, so it's brilliant. Every Wednesday night we go up there, we playing a few tunes, and we started to get a little bit of a following. And then maybe once a month, on a Thursday night, we'd heard out the stuff, we waked up, so we got singing on the mics. So that's where it stems from. And we were called the Fox and the Fields. And we play great, and we play during the Christmas parties and stuff like that. And we play for all the Mercury guys, and a lot of German people got to know us as well. We had a little bit of a following there. And then I came home, I had enough, I was too old. Jacqueline, my wife, wanted me home, and Sean, my young lad, was gone to Australia. So Jacqueline was on her own, but apart from that, I needed to come home. So I came home, and I was back in where we are now, in the new Natural Children's Hospital, when this guy approached me from the contractors, Brian Orr. He said, "I believe you're playing a bit of music," and I said, yeah, we played a bit in Germany and stuff. He played the guitar, and he sang as well, and he had a young apprentice of his, Daniel O'Keefe. Daniel is from Lismore and Waterford. And they were like me, they were away from home, you know, working in Dublin. They were staying in a hotel. Daniel played the banjo and guitar and vocals. So they just said, "Listen, we're playing a few tunes in the hotel. The guys in the hotel are they're giving us a room to practice in. Would you come up?" And I said, "Okay, all right, yeah, well, where is it, what time?" They told me anyways, in the Louis Fitzgerald Hotel. So I was saying to Jacqueline, I said, when I got home, I said, "I don't know about this. I don't know these guys. I don't know whether, I don't know, I'll think about it." I said, "Look, just go up. What can you lose?" So went up, went in the car, jumped in the car, went off up to the Louis Fitzgerald's hotel. I met the guys there, Brian and Dan, and we started playing a few tunes, and suddenly it was, bang, I'm loving it, back again. Them guys, they talked to me like that. I started singing, they picked up with a great couple of sessions. I drove home that night, and it was like a child. I had me mojo back again. This was brilliant. Because apart from some of the lads I worked with in Germany, and I worked with them in Holland, it was the same crew, and I was working with them for 6 years, and I missed them. I really did, and I missed the crack on a Wednesday night. I missed the crack of the lads. So kind of when I got this mojo back in me, driving home that evening, I couldn't wait to see the lads at work the next morning. I said, right, when are we going to do a few tunes again? I was on a high, and of course COVID hit then, and we couldn't, there was nowhere to practice, nowhere to, play, and it was kind of, so I started just, singing myself at home during the lockdown for my sisters, and that grew. I'd sing one song a week and I'd send them on the video, and they loved it. They were expecting a song every week, and then Jacqueline used to send it to her auntie, her family. Before I knew it, everybody was waiting on the song I was going to sing every week. No music, just a song. But in the meantime, Liam Cohn Liam played for a very famous band in Ireland, famous around Tipperary, called the Rebel Hearts. Brilliant ballad singers and band. But Liam in the meantime was at me about, listen, you need to do something with your hands when you're singing. And he encouraged me to pick up the bodhrán. So I started playing the bodhrán myself during the lockdown, tipping away. I bought a bodhrán, tipping away with it. And then when I met Daniel from Daniel O'Keefe, the young lad from we met here in work, that played the banjo and the guitar, he played the bodhrán. He picked up the bodhrán and just blew me away. Jesus, that's something else. The sound of that. Now I had a bodhrán, I think I bought it on, I don't know, on Facebook or something, just for €60. He had this deep drum. He said to me, "Here, have a go with that." Now, I was only learning myself at the time, no lessons, I was just learning myself. And I picked up his drum and I said, "Jeez, that's a great sound, that's a different sound." So I ended up, I said, "No, I'm going to invest in a decent drum." So that's what I did. I went out and I with Daniel's advice, I got this drum. And that's how I played the bodhrán as well. I'm self-taught. I think I had about 2 lessons off this musician I met at a session. And I just started playing myself. And that's what I do. And when the COVID started to drift again, we got going again, myself and Dan and Brian. And my sister, who lives in Tala, it was a family house actually, my brother and sister still live there. She said to me, "There's nowhere to practice. Listen, come up to us." COVID was nearly over. We went up there on Tuesday, and me, Brian and Dan went up to my sisters and we played there. And even the neighbours could hear it and they loved it. And where the flock of birds came from. So there was myself, Dan and Brian. And where I lived now down in Kevin Street in the Liberties, I was walking home one day through the flat complex, and I met this young lad with a guitar over his shoulder, and I didn't really know him. I knew him to see, and I knew him from around, but I didn't know him. I knew his name, so I just seen him there. I said, "How are you, Mick? Yeah, how are you, Tom?" I said, "You're playing guitar?" He said, "I'm just learning." He said, "Lockdown, got this guitar. In fact, I found it." He said, "I put strings on it." I said, "Oh, very good." I said, "Do you fancy coming up on a Tuesday night? We're getting this session together." And he said, "Oh, jeez, Tom, I wouldn't be good enough." I said, "Either am I." But I said, "Come up and meet the lads, see what you think." So he said, "Okay." So he came up, all the shy young lads. He's not shy anymore, I can tell you. But he came up and he sat down with the lads and listened around, and he just loved it. He just loved it. And then another young lad from this project here, works for Brian Hours. He started here and he played a banjo. Then he was only starting out as well. So I said, "Do you mind if Peter comes up?" "No problem." And he's like, "Come up." But Dan was coming in the summer. And we were starting to go out the back with good weather. And we were playing out the back. Weather was brilliant. But prior to that, my young lad Sean, who's in Australia, his friend, one of his best friends, Paul Redmond, Sean had sent me a video. He says, Paul is teaching himself the guitar at home. I said, yeah. She sent me videos. I said, yes, that's brilliant. So I contacted Paul. I said, Paul, you playing it? He said, I know, Tom, I said, no. We're going up to be mams. I says, we're going up to be mams every week. I'll introduce you to the lads. Not a problem. He was shy. He came up and we played around there. And then, as I said, the summer came in. We were out the back. The neighbours were looking forward every week. And the lads coming up playing. And then we started to get a little bit better. And a lot of lads I know from Shamrock Rovers, it's the podcast, the Tifties podcast. Gary and Carl were running the podcast, and they were having a Player of the Year awards. And Gary happened to say, listen, Tom, do you fancy bringing the lads down and play a bit of music? I said, yeah, no problem. So we got down to the Four Province, just there in Kimmage, and we played the night of the Player of the Year award, and we blew them away. So we're starting to get serious now. Unfortunately, Dan had to go, the banjo player had to go. He's gone now, he's gone to college, but he'll be back after Christmas. Brian is a bit busy working out. Peter comes up now and again. So I left now with a four-piece. So we have myself, we've Mick Ward, Paul Redmond, and we have Daniel, the banjo player. Now, Daniel's gone on he's doing his block for college. So I drafted in another banjo player. I got him through going to sessions and knowing people. I put the word out for a banjo player. So we got this guy in named Gary Dwyer. Very, very good banjo player. He plays in Temple Bar and places like that. So we're doing a few sessions around. We actually were regularly in Ryan's and Campbell Street. Ryan's and Campbell Street on a Wednesday night. Ryan's would be a famous pub for a GAA pub and stuff like that. Wednesday night is student night, so it's hopping on a Tuesday night. So Wednesday night. We do there Wednesday night. the moment, I'm in talks with a couple of pubs around Temple Bar. So we're looking to get into Temple Bar. I've been around Temple Bar, I was looking at the competition, and I can honestly say, you know, we'd match it with any of them that's in there. I don't have a problem saying that, especially with the young lads I have now. The Mick Warrens, the Paul, these lads are great musicians. Well, I'm getting on a bit. I'm setting this up for these, especially for these two young lads and Daniel. Set them up. The guys are flying. We've gone now, because of the young lads now, you see, we're gone. We do a bit of traditional, a bit of ballads, a bit of trads. But because on the Ryans on a Wednesday night, it's a lot of young people, so we mix it up. Paul and Mick will do all what they hear, you know, what they want to hear. And there's a lot of songs out there. There's a bit of traditional in it and a bit of, you know, jazzy up so they all know it. So that's where we are at the moment. So you're going on a bit with your Pascal there. Just stop me in my tracks if you need it.
So this you would call the greatest achievement of yours outside of work?
Outside of work, this is, probably, one of my best. Well, it is my best. Like, I had a lot of achievements regarding in soccer. I had a coaching. I coached a team, a Liverpool Celtic team, at a younger age, from the time they were 8 years of age up to the time they were 15 and 16. I've done a lot, coached a team, and with great achievements. We won a few cups, won a couple of tournaments, and in fact, it's great because they see me going around. I'd hear young lads, "How are you, Tom? How are you, Tom?" And I'd be, you know, what the fuck is that? And there was a young lad. We sat with Jacqueline. We were at our friends' celebrations a couple of weeks ago in a pub in town, one of these fancy pubs. And this young lad approached me. He said, "How are you, Tommy? How's it going?" And I looked at him. I said, "Sorry, kid, I don't know you." And he says, "I'm Jamie, I played for you." And this young lad used to come from Kildare, outside Dublin, just to come down to play for Liverpool Celtic for my team. And I looked at him and I said, "Oh, Jamie, it's great to see you." And you know what he says to me, and I was so proud, he said to me, "Do you know what?" He says, "Thanks very much." He said, "The memories you gave me." He said, "I went to a tournament which in Liverpool and up the north." He said, "Thanks very much." And I said to him, "No, thank you for recognising me." And he said, "How could I forget you?" He says, "You were probably a great coach, you were great with all the lads." So that's, to me, that was good. I enjoyed that.
Where do you see yourself with your band in 3 years or 5 or 7?
Look, this started off for fun. We're not going to be in the charts. And we're not going to be playing in the Point Depot or Vicar Street. It's a bit of fun. Where do I see myself? I see myself sitting looking at Paul and Dan and Mick, sitting down having a pint and sitting back and saying, "These guys are good. I wonder who their mentor is." And that's where I see myself. And that's why I'm doing it. I'm tired. I'm 60, I'm 62 now. And I do be tired on a Wednesday after work, tired all the time after work. But on a Wednesday I be tired, but it gives me the little, no, I need to get up and go. I need to get up, get down there for this. Sometimes, but as soon as I get up, as soon as the mic goes, boom, that's where we take over. And that's where the enjoyment. To see people, you're looking down at people, smiling at you and jumping around and dancing. It's just great. And to have someone to come up to you and say, "Hey, you're on again next week. You were brilliant." It's just, it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling.
Which famous musicians you admire?
Famous musicians. My favourite, now there's a lot. We could go with, Luke Kelly's and the Dubliners. My favourite, and he still are, and I still go to see them. My favourite were the Fury Brothers and Davy Arthur. Because it just blew me away. Around 1980, 81, I was in the Embankment in Tallaght. And we were going in to see them, and I got in there early to get a good seat, and on the stage there was just instruments everywhere. They had instruments all over, the banjos, everything you could name what they had. And when they came on to play, I was just blown away with them. And they were picking instruments out, and the camaraderie between the brothers and Davy Arthur was brilliant, and the following they had, the amount of people that they knew, they were ordinary people that just wanted to play, and they were looking down at the crowd and they knew everybody going on. They told stories. Like, Finbar is out on his own now. Still going to see Finbar. Still brilliant. What a musician. Eddie and George now. Paul, Lord rest him. Paul Fury died. Davey, I think, is not well died. I think Davey had a bit of a stroke. But these guys, I looked up to them. I thought they were fantastic. Like, when I've grown up musically, it's like, it was Tin Lizzy, it was Phil Lynott. I just, it was an aura Phil Lynott. You're going out with a black fella with a Dublin accent. It was just unbelievable. And he was just belted out. He was just rock and roll. He wanted to be a rock and roll star, and my God, he was a rock and roll star. And then as the year moved on, you moved into the glam rock and the Slades, the skinhead dancing, and I kind of grew up with all that kind of stuff. And of course, where we lived, it was beside the National Stadium, still going now, the Boxing Stadium. So all the big bands, whatever, this was the only place for them to go. Rory Gallagher, what a guitarist. I've seen him. I've seen Skid Row with Bruce Shields, Tin Lizzy, all these bands. That's the only place where they came to. I've seen Leo Sayer there. Slade were kind of a skinhead band, and then they got into glam rock. But these were all places where we went to see. I actually seen the Dubliners there. Paddy Riley was after coming in to the Dubliners. Lord rest Luke Kelly died. But seeing the Dubliners there one night, what a show, great show. So that's my influence. I always, like, when we were growing up, especially now as we were younger, there was no telly there. We had a radio. My dad always listened to Mario Lanza. And every now and then I hear a cool opera singer, right? It's true. Mario Lanza was his thing, and it sticks in my mind as I was growing up. It was listening to opera singers and stuff like that.
How would you describe yourself?
How would I describe myself? I was asked that question once at an interview. It's just not word. I'll tell you this. You can cut it out if you want, but this is a good story. Like, I went to an interview once when, this interview was a new thing. When I was growing up, someone got you a job. But I remember going for an interview. It was as Ashcoin, who I worked with prior to, who sent me on all the safety courses and all, and they were good to me. But it was in between them. I went for an interview, and there was a few people around the table, and the HR lady was there. And one of the questions was, how would you describe yourself? And I just looked at her, and I said, I don't think I'm a bad-looking fella. I'm 42. And the whole table went in an uproar. But I didn't understand the question she was asking me. Now, I understand a lot better now. I describe myself as a happy-go-lucky fella. I'd like to think I'm kind. I'd like to think I have a good ear for people. I think I have, because sometimes this office, or my own office outside there, is like a confession box where people want to come in and talk to me, and I like that. I'm actually the mental health first aider, and one of them on this project. And nowadays, there's a lot of mental health. People have a lot of mental health issues out there, especially young people. So I like to give you a lot of time to that. that's the way I am. That's the only way I can describe myself.
What is your favorite song to perform?
My favourite
Do you have
song.
one?
There's a lot of them. I'm gonna pick a Fury song because I love the Fury so much. I love a song. It was written by Phil Coulter and Eddie Fury. And it's called "Steal Away." A nice little slow song. And the other one is a Ralph McTell song, slow version song. But the Fury's song version to me is brilliant, and it's called "It's a Long, Long Way from Clare to Here." But any song I sing, I just love it. Whether it's good or
Can
bad.
you give a line?
I give you a line, yeah, no problem. I give you a line for "Steal Away." It's nice and slow. It's nice and quiet anyway. Steal away, let's steal away. No reason left to stay. For me and you, let's start anew, and darling, steal away. Thank you.
Great, thank you. About your life again. One more question about your life, maybe something in the past. What was the most difficult period in your life?
Most difficult period in my life, I think it's now health-wise, because I have a problem now. With me back. I'm seeing a physio and stuff like that, and this just came on me recently. Look, basically it's wear and tear, so I just have to live with it. And I'm a physio and I'm getting injections for it. But other than that, like medical conditions we all have, but we live them. You know, when I was younger as a kid, I was an asthmatic, but it didn't let it stop me. You know, I played soccer and I played anything that was gone. It wasn't any good, but I played. But other than that, get this back problem sorted. I'll be grand. I'm happy in my life. I really am.
And your greatest fear? Do you got one?
Not really. I have a fear at the moment that my back is not going to be right for the trip. But I've no fear. I've no fear of dying or anything like that. You know, I don't think about it. I don't think about it much. You know, what's the point?
You don't think about wars, about pandemic, about...
No. I don't think about it like that. You know, it is what it is. I mean, it was hard. It's hard in the last 2 or 3 years for people. You know, this pandemic and COVID. It was hard for people. I felt really sad for old people. You know, they didn't deserve it to be locked up the way they were. Imagine telling people at 70 years of age you can't go outside your door.
Yes, indeed.
You know, that's a different subject that I'm passionate about, and I don't really want to bring it up on this, but that's my way. I couldn't believe the way they treated people. The government, that's what I'm talking about. The way they treated people. You know, and people were all put in a box. These people at 60, 70 years of age, I don't know, like reared their families, and suddenly they were told they couldn't do this, they couldn't do that, you know. And then you had people in high jobs, high flying jobs, government people having parties. You know, I could go on for another hour about that, but I'm not going to. No, it's not going to upset me, you know. So, no, I think we covered mostly everything. Basically, I wanted this to be about the way I started growing up and the way I met the lads through the music, and that's what I wanted this about. So I hope it works out. And I love that. Thanks, Pascal. Give me the opportunity. Thanks very much. And
thank you very much.
I know Pascal done a great video for us for the Flock of Birds. I'm sure we'll put it out. It's on Facebook, by the way. We're on Facebook and we're on Instagram. We're called the Flock of Birds. Give us an old following there.
like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pascal. You're a gentleman.